Gotham episode 15, The Scarecrow. I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was pretty cool. It was kind of like the pseudo second part to last week's episode. And I think it was a pretty interesting conclusion to everything that happened last week. It didn't have really, I feel like it didn't have as much of a focus on Dr. Crane really as much as last week's episode, and I guess that's because they were kind of just looking for him and he wasn't still killing other people. So it was kind of interesting that it was like the second part, but I feel like all the stories in this episode were really just evenly paced out. There wasn't really like a big main story that happened. We just kind of got the next chapter of like every little different thing that happened in the last episode, which I really enjoyed. I thought it was cool that we got to see a lot of all the different little things. We got to see what happened with Penguin. We got to see what happened with Mooney, which I think that's what I'm most excited for. Just like last week, like the crazy ending once again was like, where the heck is she at? Like, she gets kidnapped by these pirates and she ends up in this place and there's a bunch of people there. So this has happened to a lot of people, and I don't know. I assume they're like illegal orphan trafficking or something like that. I don't know if you can sell eyes on the black market. You can probably sell pretty much anything. But, they just have like all these people, especially in that final scene is when it was really weird because all the people would gather together. And you could see like everyone was in just like a totally random moment in their life. Like the fish was obviously dressed up. The one guy who's, kind of her second now, he was like in a complete full on suit. There was a girl in the background who was like in a jersey from the college or something, and then you have like other people in like normal everyday clothes, other people in suits, other people in like sweatshirts and all sorts of different stuff. So it was just really weird. It was like these people just grab you right off the street, grab you off boats, grab you from wherever, and they're, like I said, probably selling organs on the black market, and that's probably why they took the girl's eyes at the end of the episode. But I enjoyed that part of it. It was really interesting to see Mooney kind of go through just another thing where it's like, all right, this guy's in charge, and like it was funny. She made the face as soon as she found out that guy was in charge, and like the guy in the suit kind of walked away and she was alone. She had like that plain face, like, all right, he's dying. I got to kill this guy so I can be in charge. And of course, that's exactly what she does. And there's no surprise there. I still enjoyed it though. And she gets comfortable with the guy. I didn't think that it was actually going to happen in this episode. I figured it would happen maybe in the next episode, but it was just like, all right, got to kill him. And then she killed him later in the episode, and so now she's in charge. And I'm excited to see how things play out with her character, and also exactly what answers we are going to get, because me speculating that they're selling organs on the black market, that's obviously all speculation. So I don't know where she is. I would assume she's still in Gotham, especially, like I mentioned, the one girl in the background had the Gotham jersey on. That doesn't exactly mean that much because you can have a jersey anywhere on Earth. But I assume they're still in Gotham, and they've basically just been trapped by these people who are selling organs on the black market. And it'll be interesting to see what she does and how she escapes, because it seemed like what she was going to do towards the end, like how she was mentioning that there was really no order. It was just like, all right, the boss eats first, and then you just all scramble for food and whatever. It seemed like her plan really was to kind of join everybody together, and even if it's there's certain tiers, like she's on top and there are other people on the bottom and stuff. She mentioned order, so there would be order. There would be different classes, and if everyone kind of accepted that, which isn't it obviously isn't a guarantee, but if everybody did, then it could kind of bring everyone together to at least think about fighting against these people, even though they obviously have for like AK-47s and stuff when they come towards the gates. But it'll be interesting to see how she finds her way out of this, and some of the other crazy stuff that's gonna go down, because of course she took out the guy who's in charge. People might try to go after her now too, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But I definitely enjoyed that portion of the episode. It was really cool to see just her in this really weird place. She was almost in like an entire basement of a building, like a giant building too, because that was a huge open space, and there's just people all walking around. Like if you watch it again, or if you even notice, excuse me, there's just a ton of people in the background. It seems to go on forever. Like if you look in the background, it just goes on really far in most of those scenes. So they're in some giant building and they're just trapped in the basement of it, and people get taken out. They take their organs, send them back in, and then probably take them out when they want to harvest the rest. So I'm excited to see where that storyline goes, because it's the one that really we don't know what's going to happen. Like, I think right now Mooney kind of has what Penguin had in the beginning, where it was kind of like you don't really know how the heck is going to play out. Like, he initially was working with Fish. He left, he came back, he ended up on the opposite side of the fence working for a different mob boss, and then it turns out he was working for the same mob boss and all this other stuff. And technically that's still going down, but with Mooney now, she's really in that role where it's just like, I don't know where she is, I don't know how she's going to get out of it, I don't know what she really expects to gain from it, because, she's just one of those types of characters, so you have to assume she's going to try to gain something out of every crappy situation, but you don't really know what to expect in this one, so I'm definitely excited for that. And then kind of transitioning to Penguin, his stuff was definitely really cool too. I enjoyed that, getting to see Falcone and Maroni kind of talk things out. At first I was a little worried because Falcone was just like, so be it. And it was like he just didn't give a crap anymore. Even when he went to talk to Penguin, it seemed like he didn't care. Like, I'm just going to let this guy die anyway so I can ignore everything he's saying. But he did decide to work with Maroni, and he, I believe he gave him a judge. So they've kind of worked things out for now, and, Maroni went to Penguin. As soon as Falcone is gone, he's going to try to take out Penguin. So I don't know if Penguin's going to take out Maroni first. They probably won't have Falcone die in this series because Falcone is a big part of Batman, so he technically is still alive during, Batman going around helping everybody. So they might not have that scenario happen where Falcone does die and Penguin has to take over and survive for himself. But at the same time, they've changed other things, so they could easily do that if they want to. And either way, I think it'll be pretty interesting, because Penguin, he still has that element of fear. Like, they work things out, but he knows, like, if Falcone dies for whatever reason, Maroni is going to be like the big mob boss, and he's going to come after the one guy who, really messed him up. So he's got some stuff to work out. I love the new look for the bar. I thought that was pretty cool that he changed it, and it was the umbrella, of course. That was pretty sweet. Changed a lot of, well, not a lot of stuff, really. He mostly just changed, like, the set where the band's playing stuff. And it was kind of sad that there was just, like, nobody there. Like, it was kind of depressing looking at that. He was having, like, his really big moment, and I think there were, like, 3 or 4 people that actually showed up, not including the band, of course. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well. And I enjoyed it in this episode, seeing Maroni and Falcone actually have a full-on conversation, because that doesn't really happen too often. I know they, talk to each other to try to work stuff out all the time. But in this episode, I feel like it was a little different. It wasn't just like, oh, business. It was like, Maroni's super pissed off. Like, he wants to kill Penguin, and Falcone had to kind of keep a really good resource, by his side. So I definitely enjoyed that. Then, like I said, the main mission, or I guess the main storyline with Dr. Crane and his son, I thought that was pretty interesting. Of course, it led to the fear toxin by the end of this episode, which was pretty cool. And it was really interesting watching Dr. Crane basically perfected, and he, like, had no more fear. But him not having fear was kind of stupid. Like, it was like, I don't care, I'm not scared of your guns and stuff. And he just walked out like it was Terminator or something, and then, he's dead. Like, he's gone now, and that's it for him. It was kind of a cool scene, though, because he was just like, I don't care, and he's just walking right towards them, just shooting at cops. And, it's 2-1. Like, sometimes fear kind of makes you smarter, and he was just walking out shooting with one handgun, and he was taken down. And now we have, like, Scarecrow, and he's, on basically permanent, fear toxin, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't think that's in the main comics at all. Like, typically speaking, he does that to other people, not because he was affected by it, but just because, he's insane, like everyone in Batman. But I thought that was actually a cool way to put a spin on it, where he's basically permanently affected, and that's, what led him or is going to lead him to become the Scarecrow. So I thought that was definitely pretty cool. We got to see two of the villains meet, or future villains meet. So we saw Penguin and Riddler run into each other in this episode. I actually thought that was pretty cool. It was a minor little scene, but it was funny, and it was just really awkward and interesting at the same time, with like Riddler being nice and he knows who Penguin is, and Penguin's just like, I'm here to see Jim. I don't really know you. You're weird. And they're both just like, they don't really connect, which probably makes sense, I guess. But I definitely enjoyed that little scene, and Penguin having Jim basically shut him down. I think that's probably going to play a big role when Jim really does have to go to Penguin. Like, he didn't do it in this episode, which I thought was going to happen, but I feel like that it's just going to happen. Like, he has this resource that he definitely doesn't want to use, but I feel like at some point he's just going to be stuck, or he won't be able to get any real help, and he's going to have to go to Penguin. And it'll be interesting, like, I don't know what to expect out of that one, but I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. But I definitely enjoyed this episode. I'm, of course, very excited for the next one, like, I think everyone, because it's supposed to be the Joker. So I'm very curious to see how in the world that episode is going to play out, like, what the crime is, how he's going to act, as a younger Joker without the makeup and everything. So I think, like, pretty much everybody, I'm excited to see that and just how it all plays out, and how long they decide to carry that on for. It'll probably just be the next episode, but with it being the Joker and this show kind of holding on to people that become future villains slash anti-heroes in like Catwoman's case, they might keep the Joker on. If they wrote it that way, they'll have him in this episode, and then he'll come back in future episodes doing other really horrible crimes and stuff. I guess minor compared to some of the stuff he does in the comics, because it's on TV. But I'm definitely excited for that, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about this episode, though. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and what did you guys think about Scarecrow basically becoming Scarecrow by the end of this episode? Because I definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't believe that he was ever affected by the fear toxin in that way. I think this is kind of unique to Gotham, which is one of the things I like. Like, sometimes the things that they kind of work around are actually really cool. Like, some stuff kind of pointless, like the stuff they did with Poison Ivy. Like, that's not really her name, and they didn't need to make that her name, but they did. And then in this case, I think it actually worked out really well. Like, that's kind of his origin story, where he became the Scarecrow because he may or may not ever get off of like the alpha fear toxin, and it just, the effects linger for the rest of his life. I think that's actually a really cool concept. Like, he sees that fear, and a lot like his father, unfortunately, in a much slower, over a bunch of years type of way, eventually he develops, an immunity to that fear. But it's not like with his dad, where it was like he was able to control it within just the one day, and he has to suffer for it, suffer through it for years to come. So I definitely enjoyed it. But like I said, I want to know what you guys thought. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.